Hello everyone, welcome to Daily News Simplified. From today's edition of newspaper, we have come up with 5 topics. The topics which we have already discussed, that is the problem with free food grain, precision medicine and biobank laws, and India crossed 90 gigawatt solar mark. And from the perspective of preliminary examination, we are going to discuss about artificial rain, Wayanad X-band radar. So let us start our discussion with the first topic, that is problem with free food, right? So it came in the Indian Express newspaper, and Ashok Gulati, one of the renowned personality in the agriculture area, has highlighted certain problems associated with free fruit grain. So let us read the context, and then we will going to dwell upon this topic. The context is regime of highly ineffective food and fertilizer subsidies must be reformed. Government needs to summon the courage to bite the bullet, ensure enough lead time to prepare for the proper implementation. So they are trying to recommend that we have to revitalize our subsidies, and at the same time we have to rationalize it so that the impact which are coming out of this free food of subsidies should not come into the agriculture sector. As you know, it is a part of our general studies paper number 3, which is written as issues related to direct and indirect farm subsidies and minimum support price. So UPSC in the past has asked numerous questions based on subsidies. So we have taken for one as example of 2013 only, and they are asking regarding the different types of agricultural subsidies given to farmers at the national and state level. Critically analyze the agriculture subsidy regime with the reference to the distortion created by it. So you know that different type of subsidies like fertilizer subsidies, there are irrigation subsidies, electricity subsidies. There are a number of subsidies given by state as well as national government. However, in this discussion, we will more focus upon this critical analysis of the subsidy regime. What type of this subsidy, how this subsidy regime are impacting our agriculture sector. So, as you know, before that, let us see what are the schemes available in front of India, that they are giving certain food grains at a very lower cost, right? So, read this National Food Security Act 2013. It was to cover roughly 2/3 of the population. Almost 66% of the population will be catered by this scheme, and they used to provide rice, wheat or coarse grain at a very minimum rate, that is 3 kg, 2 kg and 1 kg respectively, right? There was also a recommendation that this rate should be revised. Why we should revise this rate? Because when we are giving the food or grain at a certain rate which is very low, so government have to bear the extra money which are generally used for purchasing these food grains, and it has to be bearing that burden. So leading to one of the problem that we call as a physical burden, right? And there is one more scheme related to targeted PDS. Under the scheme, various sections of the society are given at a different rate. For instance, the most vulnerable one will be given the free food. Some other person who are above that vulnerable section will going to get these food grains at the half of the rate of the MSP, and the person who are above the poverty line will going to pay for 90% of the MSP in order to purchase this rice, wheat or any other coarse grain. So let us see what are the problem or challenges associated with free food regime or fertilizer subsidies. So first of all, we have to understand that India, as per the Rangarajan committee, and it too around 2013 and 14, right? They showed that around 29% of the India's population are under the or below the poverty line. But this scheme that we call as National Food Security Scheme used to cater 66% of the population. It means that 30% of the population is poor, but they are giving the subsidies to 66% of the population. It means that government will have to pay extra for giving certain type of subsidy, and when they are going to pay extra, it is generally considered as a revenue expenditure, and government will have a very little amount left with them in order to invest in the capital formation, right? And as you know, capital formation is needed for enhancing the productivity as well as efficiency in the agriculture sector. That is the second statement, which says that reduces fiscal space for capital investment. When we are giving money, when we are giving subsidy in terms of fertilizer, in terms of irrigation or electricity, there is one more problem associated with this type of free subsidy regime, that people who are actually using this subsidy are not utilizing this subsidy in a proper manner. They are using over, most of the problem coming with the fertilizer subsidies, that farmers are using more than what is required in the agriculture area, leading to various problems, especially the problem of soil salinization, right? And this problem, especially the soil salinization problem, you going to witness especially in the northwestern part of our country, especially Punjab, Haryana and western UP. However, in the recent time, you can also say that various states, especially the eastern part of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, are also engulfing with this type of challenges, especially with respect to overuse of fertilizers, and thereby compromising the quality of the soil, thereby eventually leading to reduction in the output of the agriculture goods. And when we have a low physical space for capital investment, then we cannot able to invest in other areas, which is very necessary in order to enhance the farmer's income by double, and at the same time in order to enhance the output of the agriculture. And as you know, right now the agriculture sector is growing at a rate of 3 to 4%, right? Much below the country GDP rate, right? At least we have to be at par with the GDP rate, so that the people who are involved in the farming activity should get some remunerative wages or remunerative money out of it. So when we are saying that the reduced fiscal burden, reduced fiscal space is not utilized, actually forcing government not to be investing in agriculture R&D, precision agriculture, micronutrients or any other aspect of social area, especially with respect to women education and sanitation, right? And in the last few years, we have witnessed that this type of investment, especially the R&D, precision agriculture, micronutrient, have much more benefit as compared to the free subsidy regime, right? Because they generally enhances the quality of the agriculture feed, and at the same time, it also going to give boost to the capital formation of that area, right? And if there will be capital formation, then it means that the people who are having more good human capital, they will going to get more money in terms of income, and they can also migrate from this agriculture sector to any other remunerative sectors, right? So that is a challenge associated with this food security schemes, which we are generally giving at a very high amount. And thirdly, it is related to corruption. So one report highlights that around 20 to 30% of these subsidies, especially the food and fertilizer subsidies, never reaches the intended beneficiaries. It means that there are leakages, there is a cost of implementing this type of schemes, and there are a number of ghost beneficiaries as well. So this type of problem should also be catered with in order to reduce the burden on the government, so that they can channelize this amount into more productive work. So you can also see that as per these leakages, along with this inefficiency, which is generally hovering around 40 to 50% of this total subsidies which are provided by the government to various sections of the society, right? So this is a huge burden on the Indian public exchequer money, which are not helping government to utilize in a proper manner. Now we'll move to our second topic, that is related to precision medicine and biobank laws. It is a very good article, came in Hindu newspaper, and the article read like this: why precision medicine in India can't advance without biobank laws. So we're going to see what is precision medicine, what is biobank laws, and what type of challenges we are facing with respect to this type of development, right? So let us read the context. That precision medicine is setting up a new era of personalized healthcare. When we are talking about personalized healthcare, it means that it will be specific to disease, it will be specific to human. How we can say that this medicine will be specific to disease and specific to any human individuals, right? Because we are targeting not only the symptoms of this disease, we are also going to target the causes of this disease, and these causes are generally embedded in the genetic formation of the individual or the population. So that's why we are saying that whatever medicine we are going to develop in the name of precision medicine, we are going to target the diseases at their root. And you know, it is a part of our general studies paper number 3, awareness in the field of IT, space, robotics. Nanotechnology is also going to be, you can also give this example in nanotechnology, you can also give this example in biotechnology. And UPSC in the past has asked numerous questions based on this nanotechnology and biotechnology alternatively. So in 2020, they have asked related to nanotechnology, that is, what do you understand by nanotechnology and how is it helping in health sector? So you can see that this precision medicine will going to help in the health sector. So you can use this information in writing certain type of question. So now let us move to our next topic, that is, what is precision medicine? So it is when you're talking about medicine, it doesn't mean that we are going to eat the tablets, right? There are other technologies also involved when we are talking about the medicine. It will also going to cater genes, gene editing, as well as gene therapy, right? So that is a holistic approach for disease treatment and prevention that take into account individual variability in genes, environment, and lifestyle for each person. So when we are talking about the precision medicine, it will focus upon the individual need, and it also going to focus upon the population who are sharing this type of genotypes. For instance, there is one sickle cell anemia generally found in the Munda tribe of India, right? And the whole population is generally feeling this problem with respect to sickle cell anemia. So this type of problem can be solved by this precision medicine. And as you know about one of the technology which has been developed recently known as CRISPR-Cas9 used to edit the genes. And actually what happens that when we are talking about genes, gene has an expression, right? So whenever there is a mutation in genes, the expression which is generally considered normal do not happen. They mutated the expression as well, so leading to a number of diseases or abnormalities in the individual. So when we are talking about this gene therapy, what we are doing in that we are generally silencing that gene which is detrimental expression on the human individual, silencing through various measures. They can be using insertion, deletion, or even you can use Cas9 to cut that gene from the body or cut the gene from the sequence so that certain type of expression do not follow. And you can see a number of medicine or treatment has already been done with respect to restoration of vision in people which was caused due to genetic mutation and was treated through genetic gene therapy, right? Secondly, in the UK, they have reversed an individual diabetes by transplanting re-engineered stem cells. It means that they are targeting certain cells which are generally leading to the problem of insulin, right? As you know, diabetes is a problem of insulin secretion. Thirdly, in the COVID pandemic, we have used mRNA platform to develop new vaccine, and for that we have also somebody have also received the Nobel Prize in 2023. So it is a very enormous area, and we have to develop our research and development in order to tackle this rare kind of diseases, especially the cancers and other kind of diseases. There is one more important thing with respect to organ in chips. So it is a very beautiful thing with respect to the research and development in the medicine. What they are going to provide, they will going to provide one small. It is actually small microfluidic devices containing human cells, and that will going to replicate the scenario which is generally available in the tumor. It means that they are going to create an environment where tumors are generally developed, and that to be done in the laboratory, right? If we can able to do this type of creation of micro environment with respect to tumor or any other disease in the laboratory, then we can able to test a number of technology in order to curb certain type of problem, and we can also develop certain medicines as well, and we can also do trial runs in order to counter certain type of diseases. Now we'll move to the next part with respect to the advancement of precision medicine in India. So what we have done till now. First of all, it is one of the sunshine industry and growing at a rate of 16% annually. Apart from that, it is projected that by 2030 we are able to achieve this advancement in precision medicine and will going to reach $5 billion. So it will going to help us in scaling our economy as well. And this new policy, which is related to biotechnology for economy, environment and employment policy, also talk about developing manufacturing method which will going to replicate, mimic processes found in the natural biological system. So when we are saying that this new bio E3 will going to create certain manufacturing technologies which will going to replicate or mimic the scenario of the natural biological system. And if it is so, and if we able to create in the laboratory, then we can able to understand how these natural processes are interacting with each other and how we can able to silence this type of problems, especially causing diseases in the human population. Secondly, it also going to talk, this policy is also focusing on research and development, and they ask for developing biomanufacturing unit, bio AI hubs and biofoundries. Apart from that, in 2023, CDSCO, that is Central Drugs Standard Control Organization, approved one technology with respect to CAR T cell therapy, which is generally used for treatment of cancer disease. And this Semen Healthineers, in collaboration with Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, launched a new AI-driven facilities for precision medicine. Why we are using AI? Because when we are doing the research, we are going to create a huge amount of data, right? And that data should be meaningful for the human individual. And when individual are going to process that data, it will going to take a huge time. That's why we are using the technologies like artificial intelligence and machine learning, so that we can able to generate certain outcome from the interpretation of the data which we generally feed because of this research and development. Now we're going to see certain things with respect to biobanks. So when we are seeing that we have to develop this precision medicine, so for that we need a lot of samples, right? Because we have to understand these natural processes, how they are interacting, how they are causing the problem, how these mutations are happening in the human population. So for that we have to understand through various specimens. That specimen will going to be provided by this biobank, right? It is a repository of biological samples such as blood, DNA, cells and tissues, which will going to help you to trace the lineage, as well as it can also going to help what are the genetic makeup of the individual. And if somebody is facing the genetic problem, then this biobank will going to provide a certain data which will going to help us in developing this precision medicine. Now we are going to see what India has done with respect to biobanks. So it is a little factual one. So they have 19 registered biobanks in India having many biological specimen. And as you know, in 2024, Genome India, it's a very important project for government of India, right? In this, we have sequenced around 10,000 genomes, right? We are able to understand the structure, the expression, and what are type of mutations are generally happening in the human population, especially with respect to India. So when we are creating this sequence, they will going to give us insight regarding the working of genetics, right? And they have also catered 99 ethnic group. It means that they are checking its cross population. It means that certain population, for instance, the northwestern population may have some genetic variation with respect to northeastern population, and the diseases which are generally causing problem for northwestern population is not the case for northeastern population. That's why we are saying that this genome sequencing will going to help us to develop this precision medicine in order to, by knowing the genetic makeup of the individuals, right? that is Pan India Phenomenon India project has collected 10,000 samples to create better prediction models for cardiometabolic disease. So this project is focusing on the problems associated with heart and cardiovascular diseases, right? Similarly, this pediatric rare genetic disorder mission could help identify new genes or variants to develop targeted therapies for genetic diseases that affect children. Suppose the children is facing the problem of short-sightedness or any blindness kind of problem they are facing because of their genetic makeup. So this project will going to create certain genes or variants which will going to supplement that gene of that individual to cope this problem. Especially when we are talking about this, we are talking about this vision problem, right? So this is related to biobanks. Now we are going to see what is the challenges why we are not able to develop these biobanks in our country, because as you know only 19 registered biobanks are available, and you know India's population are having 140 crore, and we have also only having the sample of 10,000, and especially from the 99 ethnic groups. As you know, India is land of diverse ethnicity, so you have to have certain standard where people come up and give their specimen or their DNA in order to create certain banks which can be utilized for developing precision medicine or any other kind of medicines. So first of all, there is no as such regulatory measures present in our country. There are a number of gaps, and at the same time, what happens that countries like UK and USA or other developed countries have a comprehensive laws related to biobank. They try to protect the individual right with respect to their privacy. They take proper consent before taking the specimen, and they also give certain rights to the individual that they can withdraw their data if they think that their data are breached or their privacy are hampered. But this is not the case with India. We do not have certain kind of regulatory measures in order to protect the liberty of individuals who are involved in this type of specimens or this type of testing and clinical trials. Secondly, inadequacies in ethical guidelines and data practices. Suppose we have created a huge amount of data, right? Especially in India, and this data should be controlled by that authority who has taken it, and that data should be protected as well, because the privacy of the individual is a fundamental right in our country and it should be protected. But as you know, most of the cases what happened that this research data used to be shared with other countries, and when we are sharing these other countries, we do not generally take the consent of the individuals. So this type of unethicality do happen in our medical pharmaceutical industries. So for that we have to have a proper regulatory mechanism. We have a central regulatory regulation should be there. There should be hierarchy of institutions which will going to regulate this type of activities. That is highlighted in the third part as well. That is lack of central regulation and penalties. It means that there is no as a central oversight over the working of this type of biobanks in India, and there is no as such penalty for the breach of the the contract between the individual and the pharma industries. Those who are giving the specimen or DNA of their should be protected, and that should be come under the contract as well. It is not generally protected in our country. Fourthly, risk of unregulated access to biological samples, as we have discussed also that this sample might find their place in other countries and they can develop their medicines, and for that we cannot claim that we have this data is coming from this country India and the benefits should also be given to India. And there are number of cases with respect to that, especially when we are talking about this. Turmeric is one thing where USA has patented this turmeric, and despite of the fact that India is one of the oldest countries to use this type of turmeric, right? So this type of things do happen in with respect to this pharmaceutical industries as well. So what should we do? So first of all, why people will going to give their DNA? Suppose I am not feeling any problem or any disease, why I will going to give my genetic data to anybody, right? Right? And if I am willing to give, there will be a certain concerns for me, right? Whether my data, whatever is given to the industries of pharmaceutical industries, should be protected or not. It should be utilized in a proper way or not, right? For that, government have to create trust into the citizens, right? And for that, we have to create certain regulations in place, and at the same time, we have to implement that regulation at a very authentic and effective manner, so that there will be trust in the public, and public will come and they will going to give their DNA and genomic information, and which will eventually be used to create biobanks, and that will eventually help us to create precision medicines, right? Secondly, as you know, we have been involved in various diplomatic areas, especially with respect to pharmaceutical industries. We have provided various COVID vaccines to various countries during the COVID-19 problem or COVID-19 pandemic, right? So this type of soft diplomacy is our strong area with respect to our foreign policy. So when we are going to develop this thing, we have to have certain rules, and that rules should be at the standard of the globe, right? So that people who are coming from outside our country should also going to invest in biobanks, and they can also do the research and development, right? So these are the few things with respect to biobanking, how we can able to enhance the biobank, which will eventually help us to develop the precision medicine. Now we're going to talk about the third topic, that is related to our renewable energy, right? So we have a target of 100 gigawatt of solar energy by 2022. But in 2024, we are able to complete it by 90 gigawatt, and we can eventually, I think, we'll in 1 year or so, we'll able to touch this 100 gigawatt of solar energy through for meeting our various obligations given into the international arena. So let us read the context, and context is generally sufficient for this discussion. However, we're going to talk about other thing as well. So in September, India installed solar capacity crossed 90 gigawatt mark to reach that almost 90 gigawatt. Given the current rate of monthly capacity addition, which has been upward of 2000 megawatt, there is a little doubt that installed capacity will exceed 100 gigawatt in 2024 and 25. It means the next year we will able to achieve this 100 gigawatt of solar energy. Although the 100 gigawatt, as I have highlighted also, that it was set earlier for 2022, but even we are able to achieve it by 2024, it is a very good landmark, and it is a very good journey for India to enhance our energy security and diversify our energy basket, thereby reducing our dependency on the fossil fuels which we generally import from West Asia and Russia. Now let us see how we are able to enhance this solar energy production. There are a number of schemes launched by Government of India, that is Jawaharlal Nehru National Solar Mission in 2010, which also helped us to achieve this 90 gigawatt. Apart from that, private sector has played a very important role. They have reduced the tariff by aggressive bidding, and they have also they have also increased the efficiency of the solar intake, right? Suppose there is a photovoltaic cells. Earlier it was only 17% of the solar energy are converted into electricity, but right now, due to the technological advancement, up to 33 or 34% of efficiency we can achieve through this technological upgradation. Apart from that, what is happening? China is investing heavily in the photovoltaic modules, thereby reducing the cost of that module, which help us to reduce our import burden, especially when we are importing the photovoltaic modules, which will eventually help us to scale our solar energy in our country. What is the future? So there are a number of other advancements are also going on, and number of companies are involved. Especially these tandem cells are trying to enhance the efficiency up to 34%. Earlier it was 17%. Drones are used for overviewing the construction activities because it is spread in a huge area. Apart from that, there are certain systems which are used to maximize the sunlight capture without trackers. And there's also new applications, especially agrovoltaics, integrating agriculture with solar energy, allowing crop growth alongside solar installation. So though it is a problem, because as you know, 86% of our Indian farmers are small and marginal, and they do not have enough space in their agriculture field to set up these photovoltaic modules. However, India also have a large farmers, right? And we also have barren land in our country. That barren land can be utilized for installing these solar energy or solar photovoltaic modules in order to enhance our output, especially reaching our target, that is 100 gigawatt. And floating solar, as we have tried also, out of the coast of Andhra also there is one floating solar panel photovoltaic system is present. So we are also focusing upon that as well, because as you know, the exclusive economic zone of our country is very high, very big, because we have 7,500 kilometer of coastline, which help us to get more exclusive economic zone, and which can be utilized for this type of activities, especially the floating solar. Now we will move to our preliminary discussion, that is artificial rain. And you can see the context here, that no response from the center on artificial rain plan yet, says Rai as air quality dips. So what is artificial rain? Actually, we are trying to create certain conditions where we can able to do the rain, which will eventually subside the PMI or other dust particle suspended into the atmosphere, thereby reducing the air pollution. Especially when we are talking about this, we are talking about the NCR region, right? So why, first of all, let us try to understand why generally rain, how generally rain happens, right? So as you know, there are a number of condensation nuclei, which is generally a dust particles, and there are also salt particles available into the environment, right? These are condensation nuclei. These condensation nuclei are generally hygroscopic in nature. It means that they are going to attract water. So what happens, this hygroscopic nuclei or condensation nuclei going to attract moisture from the surrounding, right? They will going to attract moisture, and they will going to condense over the surface. The condensation will going to happen, and at the same time, if there is other particle and their condensation is happening here, they can also coalescence, and they can form a single particle as well. But let us try to understand this one, that this are the condensation nuclei, and the water vapor are condensing over it, but they are suspended into the air, right, because of their low weight. And there is also convection current, which are pushing this this condensation nuclei into the atmosphere, right? But what happens if this condensation will start happening, and they will going to grow their size, and at certain time it will come that this convection will not going to counter this, and they will start going downside. They will start falling, right? And when they fall in the form of rains. So this is the phenomena generally happening during the rainfall. Now we will understand how we are actually enhancing this artificial rain. You are able to understand this, use the role of condensation nuclei. Here also we are using condensation nuclei. Silver iodide is there, potassium iodide is there, silver, potassium, and dry ice is also one. Also one condensation nuclei. So what we generally do, we use helicopters or plane, and we generally spray the silver iodide, which will be acting as a condensation nuclei, and it is hygroscopic in nature. So they generally going to attract the water moisture available into the atmosphere, and they will going to increase their size eventually. And when they are not able to hold by the atmosphere, they will going to fall into the ground and leading to the rainfall, right? So you can see here also silver iodide particles reach the targeted cloud. Silver iodide aids in the formation of ice crystals. Now too heavy to remain into the air, the ice crystal falls, often melting on the air way down to form rain. So this is the process we generally follow. It is a natural process, but we are generally putting condensation nuclei through human interface, right? So this is the whole concept related to cloud seeding. Now we're going to see the what type of techniques we generally use for cloud seeding. So there are two type of technique. That one is hygroscopic cloud, as we have discussed also, that they will going to increase the coalescence, as we have seen here, that these two particles are colliding with each other and forming a bigger one. So this type of activity will be enhanced through this type of intervention and leading to huge rainfall. And the time period for this type of rainfall are generally 1.5 hours. Within 1.5 hours, we will able to get the rain. So it is very good technique. But at the same time, we have to understand that we have not tested what will be its long-term consequences on the climate. Right? It is still a gray area, and research and development are going on in order to decipher what type of this type of intervention, how it will going to impact the atmosphere in the long term. Second part is glaciogenic, as you can see from the name itself, that they will going to enhance the ice nuclei, right, and leading to the formation of ice particles, and when they will going to fall down, they will be melted and eventually come into the form of rainfall, right? Why we are using that? You know that it will going to do rainfall, that thereby decrease the drought. It will also curb forest fire, increase precipitation, and enhance air quality, as I have also highlighted that how it will going to impact the air quality, because when it will rain, the suspended particles, especially the dust particles who are suspended into the atmosphere, will subside with it, thereby reducing the air pollution. Now we are going to solve one MCQ. So you can see here also they are asking regarding the sulfate aerosol. Sulfate aerosol are shining in nature. They are used to reflect the solar energy, thereby reducing the temperature of the earth. So this is the technique. So the D is the option. Now we are going to solve the practice question. With reference to cloud seeding or artificial rain techniques, consider the following statement. It is an artificial process to reduce condensation nuclei into the atmosphere. Actually, it is an artificial process. Yeah, it is the right thing. But it increases the condensation nuclei, right? As we have seen. So this statement is incorrect. It uses chemicals like silver iodide, potassium iodide, and sulfate aerosols. So here also we have seen that sulfate aerosols are reflective in nature. They are generally used to counter the global warming rather than doing this cloud seeding. So this statement is also incorrect. However, silver iodide and potassium iodide is one of the important condensation nuclei which we generally use during cloud seeding. Third is glaciogenic cloud seeding decreases ice particle production, thereby decreases rainfall. So this is also incorrect statement. This is on the line of first statement only. So in this, all the three statement is incorrect. Option is D. So we will move to our last topic, that is Wayanad X-band radar. So you can see here this X-band radar, and let us read the context and then we will move to this concept. The Union Ministry of Earth Science has approved an X-band radar to be installed in Kerala's Wayanad district, which was hit by devastating floods and landslides, killing more than 200 people in July 2024. So they are going to create certain early warning system with the help of X-band radar, which will going to detect the landslide. Point to be noted, it will also going to detect the landslide and also the rainfall, right? So they are going to cater the need of two things, especially that landslide as well as the rainfall in that region. So how it works? First of all, try to understand that thing. What happens that we generally transmit the radio waves through various technologies, right? And they move into the atmosphere, and this target should be oriented towards the object which we want to view or which we want to see, right? So here you can see that they emit the radio wave, and this radio will be reflected by this, right, raindrops or the particles available in that cloud, and it will be reflected back, right? So when it will be reflected back, that the intensity as well as frequency of that reflection will be changed, right? And based on this receiving frequency or receiving intensity or wavelength of that radio wave, we can able to decipher the amount of rainfall, whether the cloud is moving toward us or moving toward other directions, right? And at the same time, we can also decipher the distance between the cloud as well as this radar, right? Because the time travel can be detected and the speed of a radio wave we know. So because from that we can able to detect the distance as well. Here are some key points: that larger droplets reflect radio wave more because they able to interact with this radio wave, right? If the particle is very small, and suppose if the particle is very small and the wavelength is very high, so they will not able to interact with this thing, right? So that's why we are not using S-band radar, right? We are using X-band radar. Because in S-band radar, we have low frequency, high wavelength, right? When we are talking about high wavelength, then they will not able to interact with the particle. That's why we are using low wavelength frequency, a low wavelength wave, that is radio wave, right? Now you can also see here also that when we are going to receive higher frequency in our device, then we can say that the cloud is approaching toward us. And when we are going to receive lower frequency of the radio wave received, then we can say that the cloud are moving away from that setup, right? So these are the few facts related to this thing. Now we're going to see certain benefit with respect to radio wave. As we have discussed also that why we are not using S-band. Now we are going to see certain benefit of X-band radar. First of all, they operate in 8 to 12 gigahertz. If they are having high frequency and low wavelength, it means that the resolution of the imaging will also be very good. And they can also detect the smaller object, as we have highlighted that they have small wavelength, so they can able to interact with the smallest particle as well. So that's why we are using here. They have compact size and thus can be they are also small in nature, so they can use it on a mobile platform as well. But they have certain limitations, especially with respect to weather conditions. If the atmospheric conditions not good, then we are not able to decipher from that interaction, especially when we are sending the radio wave and receiving the radio wave, right? So this is one problem associated with this X-band radar, and they have shorter range than S radar, right? So these are the few limitations with respect to X-band radar. We can use in various activities: weather monitoring, air traffic control, maritime vessel traffic control, vehicle speed detection. As we have seen also that we can able to detect the speed of the vehicle, whether it is approaching us or whether it is moving away from us through this radar system. And apart from that, what we are also highlighted here, that it will not going to cater the rainfall, it will also going to handle the problems associated with the landslide, and it will also act as a early warning system for the landslide as well. So in the Wayanad only, what this radar is going to do, this new radar is expected to monitor the movement of the soil particles as well, right? So if we are able to decipher the soil particle and we can able to decipher the precipitation in that region, so we can have a fair idea regarding the susceptibility of landslide in that regions, right? So this device will also going to perform high temporal sampling. High temporal sampling means at the same time they will going to sample a lot of soil particles. So they will going to give us kindly solve this question, and if you are not going to solve, at least read this question because it is a very important thing, and UPSC in the mains also have asked this question, right? Now we are going to solve this practice question. Consider the